What's up, Humpers and Hyper Homies? Welcome back to a very special Hyper Heroes. We are going to be recapping DC Fandome. Now, if you haven't seen, we did some trailer reactions, which were very, very, very fun, just like the old days. We did a reaction for Wonder Woman 84, the Suicide Squad BTS reel, the Batman, and Justice League. And pretty cool that our video was trending. Pretty awesome. It was trending in the United States, Canada, Egypt, and the UK in the top 20. So
Hyper Homies are the best. Thank
you guys so much for checking it out. I'm so happy to see so many people enjoying the reactions and to hear everyone just kind of talking about the movie and adding their thoughts and opinions to the movie. So if you guys want to see those, check those out. We're not going to be talking about them in the recap because we'll go pretty in depth in the trailer reactions. As you know, that's kind of what we always do here. But we're going to talk about stuff that we didn't get a chance to recap in those videos. And the first thing that I want to talk about is Gotham Knights. So there was a lot of conversation about whether or not WB Games Montreal was going to come out and reveal a new Batman game or something else set in the world. And then they came out and they played this amazing trailer. Bruce Wayne and Commissioner Gordon are dead. And when we pick up in the game, you get to play as 4 amazing characters. You get to play as Barbara Gordon Batgirl, Dick Grayson Nightwing, Jason Todd Red Hood, and Tim Drake Robin.
Nice.
And so they've had this amazing trailer. We got to see Mr. Freeze. They even teased the Court of Owls, which have become a huge part of Batman lore in the last few years.
Yeah.
Almost 10 years, I guess, now at this point. This is a really exciting looking game. The graphics look amazing. They also had 8 minutes of gameplay. But I'm just really excited about the story, the concept, expanding the Bat family into the video game world, and being able to kind of swap between characters. I think very easily this could have just been a Nightwing game or Nightwing alongside Robin. But the fact that we get to play as all the characters is super cool. And it comes out next year. It's going to be on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Series X and Windows, which is all great. It's going to be accessible to almost everybody. And supporting characters are going to be Alfred and Renee Montoya.
Series X, is that the next Xbox? Series X? So. That's how far behind I am in games. Okay, great. Cool. Great.
I'll be on PS5 soon, hopefully.
Oh yeah.
But if you guys saw the trailer, what did you guys think of the trailer? The concept of this expanding this open world RPG action concept and being able to play as these characters as far as I know, I don't think we've ever gotten to play as, unless it's been like Injustice.
So there was so I did play the first 2 Arkham games. I do know that you did get a little bit of Robin time in the second one, I believe. Did you play them too? Did either of you guys play them?
I remember there being Robin levels or something. And maybe I'm thinking of Catwoman and not Batgirl. In any case,
there was a Catwoman section. There's no Batgirl.
Huge fans of the series right now are yelling at us like, "How come on this?"
Yeah, exactly.
It's been a while since I played them.
We're not gamers, guys. We're not avid gamers. But I do know that I was a huge fan of the series when it first, specifically the first one when it came out, because of the fight system. The fight system that they had felt so smooth. You guys ever play Spider-Man 2 for like the PS1, I believe?
Or PS2, I think?
PS2.
I believe the swing system where you felt like you were swinging with Spider-Man, I felt the same way fighting as Batman. It felt very smooth, very cool, and it got me hooked on the games. And then they really went deep onto the detective part of it, which was really cool. You could analyze bodies and find clues and do all this stuff. I think the balance that they hit in those games was really a lot of fun. And it's going to be interesting to see, because now we don't just have Batman, we have 4 sub-Bat people. Like they're not Bruce Wayne's, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Bruce Wayne had it all in one package. Each one of these characters has their own characteristics and their own flaws and their own strengths. So it's going to be really cool to be able to play with all of that. And everybody has such a distinct look too, which is really cool. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they bring, especially if it's the same team that's going to bring it together. Like, we need to expand on this universe because the game was so much fun.
Yeah,
for sure.
I was a guest on our buddy DJ Wooldridge podcast, Only Stupid Answers. DJ's great. I'll do a public invitation. We got to have DJ on chatting with us. I'm not going to say on the show because we got some stuff in the works, but I'm going to try not to repeat myself too much. We did a great DC fandom rundown, but one thing I did talk about, we did mention for the games, is that I love Nightwing, I love Batgirl, I love Robin, I love Red Hood. I love these characters. It really only took until these characters were all up on screen for this game that I went, there's a lot of white characters in the Gotham world. I kind of really never noticed this.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, DJ and I were talking, I was like, it'd be great if we got a Cassandra Cain, like unlockable character, maybe Signal. There's other characters that I would love to, and I'm not going to deny those are the 4 core like sidekicks. You know, those are the 4 core sidekick characters in the Batman universe. But I'm excited either way. It looks really, really sharp and really exciting. I'm stoked for like fans of the Arkham universe that's something that's not over, even after they made big story decisions where they're like, we're killing the Joker, we're killing Batman. Cool. They're going to keep doing stuff. And that's the kind of stuff you wouldn't really see in comics. So that's exciting.
Or
regular
movies.
Comics.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm super stoked on it. It looks great. Can't wait to see it. And I'm sure when it comes out next year, we'll play together. And I believe, I think, I could be wrong, there might be an opportunity for co-op. And if there is, and us 3 can play as 3 of the 4 characters, like that would be awesome.
All right, I got dibs on Batgirl. Dibs on Barbara Gordon. Dibs.
And if that's the case, we can bring in a guest to play with us. So
that would be fun, actually. Yeah.
That's cool. Then let's talk about this Multiverse 101 panel. So I'm going to brag a little bit. This is really cool. I tweeted and I said, like, hey, I think it was a genius move to put the Multiverse 101 panel before the Flash movie. We see you, DC fandom. And Jim Lee retweeted and he was like, oh, nice tip of the hat. And then he followed me on Twitter, which I thought was really cool.
Jim Lee was all over Twitter doing fan.
He was. He was awesome.
He was just boom, boom. Thank you. He was definitely taking the victory lap, and it was super cool. Yeah,
it was awesome. super cool. And I loved the fact that they took the time to make a panel like this, because I think to us and to DC fans or comic book fans in general, the concept of the multiverse is, we understand it. We get it. We get it that there are multiple Earths that occupy the same space, and that they're accessible through, different means and stuff. For the Flash, they're accessible through like Speed Force and all that sort of stuff. But it was great to hear them talk about the concept of the multiverse, what it means for film and TV. And the most refreshing thing that they said was how they finally felt like it was a necessity, and it also hugely freeing creatively to have the film division and the TV division, maybe not necessarily under the same roof, but to have open lines of communication where we can start building out the concept of the multiverse. So we can have Brandon Routh's, movie Superman show up in Crisis. We can have the movie Flash show up in the TV version of the Flash or the Crisis story. And how they can now do that cinematically with things like the Batman, Joker, and the Justice League universe, which they did say, like, those are 3 separate universes. Joker's its own thing, the Batman is its own thing, and then Shazam, Flash, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and the previous characters that were in the Justice League movies, like, that's its own universe as well. Yeah. So it was nice to get confirmation on that.
Yeah. I totally agree. I think it was such a huge moment when Ezra Miller Flash showed up with Grant Gustin Flash on the TV show. I think that was one of the biggest like declarative statements of, hey, the TV universe is legit. Yeah. And we're sort of tired of being looked at maybe as less than. Right. We're kind of tired of being looked at as, oh, there's just a bunch of CW dramas with pretty people. It's like they work their asses off to make all of those shows and to deliver hardcore DC stuff to fans
on a weekly basis.
On a weekly, and in comparison, the movie people have always moved at a snail's pace in comparison, just because of the different beasts that those are, the production movie stuff and the TV production stuff. So that was such a huge moment, and it was exciting to know that, like, whenever that Flash movie comes out, that Ezra Miller Flash is going to acknowledge, I call myself the Flash because I met some dude. You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't necessarily need to see the cameo, but even just that mentioning that, it almost felt like when The Simpsons guest starred on Family Guy, I think it legitimized Family Guy even a little bit more, even though we know we'll never see Family Guy on an episode of The Simpsons. Like that kind of thing, like The Simpsons is still considered a little bit more prestigious or whatever. But I agree, Adam, like, I think it was smart for them to put this out in front. I just hope that my thing as a fan is like, I love the embracing of this. I hope it doesn't mean that there will be an abandoning of trying to make stuff connect when it does and can connect. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
I know a lot of people, look, man, we put out those trailer reactions, 250 thou. Might want to hold on to that one for the Batman. Okay, 250 thou. And a lot of blowback in the comments about like, I know we were talking about what we'd love to see later, and we were like, we'd love to see Clayface, Mr. Freeze, and like to see what that world can go to. And a lot of people were going right back to, no, keep this Nolan, keep this its own thing. And I'm kind of going like, look, on the one hand, I understand that Marvel did its thing, and it's unavoidable the success of that in every facet of entertainment. It's unavoidable to look at that and not acknowledge like hugely successful. But that should not deter DC from doing that when it's true to DC. So many comments I saw when we were talking about this stuff were like, oh, thanks a lot, Disney. Now everybody wants everything to be connected. And I'm like, don't get it wrong, dude. This is a core DC thing as well. Yeah. Because as fun as it was to see Barry Allen Flash meet Jay Garrick Flash in the Flash issue number 123 or whatever in 1960, whatever, like Barry Allen Flash would still go and talk to Bruce Wayne Batman, would still go and talk to each of these Earths still had a living, breathing universe. Right. And some of these movies are set up to do that better than others. I don't think the Joker should have a sequel. Like, I don't think it's set up for that. I don't want that in that. But I think Matt Reeves, if he knocks it out of the park, I'm like, dude, do Poison Ivy, do Mr. Freeze. That stuff is just as outlandish as a man from Krypton being able to fly and shoot lasers out of his eyes. Like, it's all bullshit, you know, sci-fi and whatever. So I'm just hoping that it doesn't mean that Warner Brothers will effectively like ignore the events of one movie. For example, let's say Black Adam leading into Shazam. And then if Shazam shows up in a Justice League movie that they won't even be concerned with. Or I'll give you a better example. Yeah. I'll give you a better example. If in the Suicide Squad, if Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn, if there's no mention of like, wait, last we saw you were in Gotham. And you were like a crime lord and you had Cassandra Cain as a sidekick, what happened? I'm sure James Gunn's going to be like, you know, Harley got caught and then she got thrown into Bel Rev or whatever. And it's like, I would be disappointed if they did drop that storylines between different franchises within their shared universe just because they're being like, hey, we only care about directors telling stories. That's all we care about. It's like, that's fine. But like, you know, shit's still going down in these movies. You want the overarching bigger story being told. Exactly. But in any case, I don't think we have to worry about that, Hector, only because this decision, for me, this is my opinion, this decision to embrace the multiverse is actually bold, and actually it has an advantage, I believe, over the Marvel multiverse because it doesn't have the weight of 10 years of movies at this point. Like, what they're doing is they're like saying, okay, cool, we have a multiverse. Let's explore the multiverse that DC has, but we don't have the 10 years of cinematic, I guess, precursor. So we can show you our cinematic history now with the convenience of like, cool, we can like, they're Michael Keaton's Batman is showing up, guys. Like, they're starting off with it right away, you know, like it's going crazy right off the bat. So what it's doing is like, it's paying homage to the hardcore, old school, older fans like us, and also showing that, hey, we're willing to adapt to the future of what's happening. So I feel like it's going to be something that they're open to ideas at this point, which I didn't feel was the case in the past. I feel like the case in the past was just to stick it to Marvel because they were in a different place, which ended up not working out as great. But now what they can do is, hey, we can have Ben Affleck's Batman. We can have Henry Cavill, and we can have, what's his name? Who's the Superman from TV? Tyler Hoechlin. We can have them be on screen at the same time. We can have Brandon Routh's Superman on basically what they did on TV. Is bring everything together. The proof of concept is there. They did it on TV. It can work in film, and it can be super duper epic if they wanted to. And it doesn't have like, well, there's 10 years of continuity that we have to stick with. No, dude, let's make it happen now.
Yeah. And I think to your point, you know, when Crisis came out, there was such huge, people were so excited to see Brandon Routh as Superman again, that people have been for months now being like, please give him an HBO Max show. Let's see more of that world. Let's give him more opportunities to be Superman. I think that's what you want. And Walter Hamada even talked about that. He was like, look, if people go into our Flash movie and they're fans of the TV show and they just want more Flash, but in a bigger setting, that's advantageous for us because it means that there's like already a built-in awareness of who the character is, the concept of what he is and what he does, and now we can expand that in a cinematic world. And like, if we wanted to, we can cross over characters and do all kinds of stuff. And a lot of people
audience
were
is built in.
Exactly. They're just going to shift from TV to film, and like, if you have that fan base built in, and people accept the fact that like, yeah, I have a TV Flash named Grant Gustin, and I have a cinematic Flash. And I can shift from one to the other, and I'm like not confused that there's two. And they addressed that too, and they said like, I think we're past the world. We're past living in a world where people would be confused if they saw Ben Affleck, Michael Keaton, and a TV Batman. Like we're past that. And like you said, and we're going to talk about it momentarily, the Flash is going to do that. They're literally going to put two different Batmen in one movie. And I think like just embracing the concept of the multiverse, and now that they have TV, film, and HBO Max, it kind of opens them up to limitless possibilities for what they can do.
I think the Flash is actually a really good anchor for all of this because we need somebody to guide us through. I think that's going to be the Flash. And given that the Flash is tied in with the Speed Force, which is the all-encompassing force of the DC universe, it's perfect. So what do we want to talk about the Flash, Adam?
Before we go any further, I want to give a huge shout out to our friends at Skillshare who are back again with another amazing opportunity for the Thumper community. As you know, ever since the beginning of the pandemic, we've been pretty big on sharing and really letting people know, the community know about Skillshare. And one of the big things that I've really come to love and enjoy about Skillshare, aside from the amazing community of creators, is the fact that it is a community of creators who really cares about helping to build up other people. So if you felt frustrated, if you felt like you needed to find a way to be able to, in some way, shape, or form, kind of express your feelings about everything that's happening, Skillshare My Opportunity is one of the best ways to be able to find the creative outlet to do so. Some of the creators that I really love watching, and I've talked about them before, are YC Imaging, Christopher Rhodes, and Thomas Frank. With YC Imaging, he's done an incredible job of really showing people how to create content on a shoestring budget. And I think for a lot of people, it's probably one of those beneficial things that we can have right now, is to find ways to creatively make content without having to spend huge amounts of money, because a lot of us, because of the pandemic, don't have it. When it comes to Thomas Frank, something that I really, really enjoy is a creator who takes the time to try to show and teach others how to maximize their time and their potential with that time. I found that implementing some of the smallest things and some of the smallest changes have really helped me be a more efficient taskmaster. If you feel like Skillshare is something that would benefit you or anybody around you, go down to the link description, sign up right now, get 2 months of premium Skillshare for free. Outside of that, you can join Skillshare for less than $10 a month. And the amazing folks at Skillshare are offering this to the first 1,000 people who go down below and click the link. So jump down there, click immediately, and let's get back to the video. Woo! So they gave us, I think, as many details as they could at this point. I knew going into that panel that we're mostly going to be talking about concept art, or showing us concept art, but they did reveal some fun stuff. And it was Andy Muschietti and his sister Barbara who are producing, and then Andy's obviously directing it and writing it, with Christina Hodson, who was also at the panel. But they talked about that the Flash will primarily explore time travel, the Speed Force, the multiverse, and they said something to the effect of the birth of the DC universe. And I don't know exactly what that means. Like, does that mean that Ezra's going to go back to like? What is that?
Tell that gardener to chill out.
I'll just mute myself because it's quarantine, y'all. There's a gardener just right there.
It's okay. He's working hard. It's 90 degrees outside.
Here,
please go take him some water.
Go on.
Take him some water.
Yeah. So they talked about like kind of alluding to the fact it could be the birth, and I'm like, does this mean that we might see Ezra Miller's Flash like pop into the Dawn or Superman universe, and we're going to see like how that escalates the birth of like the cinematic? I don't really know. We'll see what comes of that. But obviously Speed Force and time travel are going to be a big thing. Multiverse will be a big thing, because they did say that the whole kind of the premise of the story, and it'll be interpreted in their own way. It'll be about, Barry trying to potentially stop the death of his mother. And I think like his relationship with Batman will sort of be like the anchor of that, because they both lost their mothers. I think that's why we're really trying to play into the idea of having two Batmen in this story and like how that will affect Barry's journey. They didn't specifically confirm that Ben Affleck will be in it, but the trades confirmed it, or Variety, or I think it was Vanity Fair confirmed it, and it was an interview with Andy Muschietti. So even though they didn't talk about it, it's pre-recorded content, so like that is what it is. But they did show the concept art, and they revealed that the Flash will get a brand new suit. It'll be designed by Bruce Wayne. And I love the fact that they show that like the electricity will kind of be flowing through the suit, kind of like what we've seen with recent comic book versions. And they showed the concept art of Michael Keaton's Batman and the Flash, which I thought was really fucking cool. And they played the Batman theme from the '89 movie while they.
It's a baller move, man. That's such a baller move.
It was awesome.
So
the one question I had, and I posted this on my Twitter today, was they didn't clarify whether or not Barry will be going into an alternate Earth that takes place in 1989, or if it's going to be him going into the modern day Burtonverse. Because the trades, when they reported that Michael Keaton was going to return, the trade said that he'll have been Batman for like 30 years. So it seems like modern day. But the concept art shows him in the '89 suit, and my thinking was like, well, if you're going to show him, if you're going to do that, wouldn't you either put him in the return suit, or maybe put him in like an updated version of the 1989 suit? I guess it depends on like how recognizable they want that character to be. Like if they're fully going to embrace the '89 version or not.
And also, what is going to be happening with said '89 Batman? Like, is Barry going to go help him in his universe? Is he just like observing? Is he going to bring him back into the future? Like, we don't know exactly what these time capades are going to have in store for us.
Yeah.
But I'm just looking forward to
time
it.
heist.
It sounds awesome.
Time heist is what
time
it's
capades.
Time capades. I think, Adam, it's going to be like modern day current Michael Keaton, but he will be in Earth 89, which again made an appearance in the TV Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover with Robert Wool, where he looked up and he was like,
Alexander Knox.
I hope you're there, big guy, or whatever. And it's like, well, Robert Wool is aged in real time. They didn't like de-age him. I know it's TV budgets, but they didn't do that.
Right.
However, as you were talking about this right now, Adam, and talking about the birth of the DC multiverse or universe and Richard Donner, like I would actually, I had not considered this until this moment, but I'm kind of opposed to using a CG character of an actor who's been deceased, unless they were able to pull something off with like, with Christopher Reeve's like estate or family or whoever, and they're like, look, we're gonna do one like cameo, not even going to speak or anything, nothing too crazy. Maybe I'm a friend or hi there or something. But like if Ezra Miller's popping around to different universes, they could really pull a Forrest Gump and like put him in an old Superman movie serial. You know what I mean? Like go all the way back to that stuff, put him in like the 1950s TV show in black and white, Pleasantville, put him into a 70s New York style Earth that's Metropolis. He pops out, he looks up and you hear bum, 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 and maybe like Superman can fly down and just be like, hi there. And then like the movie can cut or something to where we can get one sort of recreation of a Christopher Reeve. Again, as long as all the parties involved were like, this is cool and respectful and beautiful and a tribute and an homage, nothing gross, nothing to exploit, anything like that, but to be able to say, like to pay tribute to that versus like, if he wants to pop over into the Linda Carter Wonder Woman, just have Linda Carter reprise her role. And I want to see her, do you know what I mean? Like for the actors that are around and are willing to play ball, go get them. Let's go get them. But
absolutely.
All of this to say, I'm very excited about people being excited about the Flash movie. I'm excited that we're actually getting to see more of the director producer team like talking, because it feels like, okay, this is really real. Like they're going to go for it. It was Rick Famuyiwa, no longer. It was going to be the guys that did Game Night, no longer. So does this make me feel like this is going to be closer to a reality? Absolutely. And I did love the costume and everything looked cool. But last thing I want to say about the Flash is I also hope that I'm not the hugest fan of the Flashpoint comic book. And I think that Barry gets lost a little bit in that shuffle and the excitement of being like, oh, we really want to bring in Thomas Wayne and how cool is it? And I'm like, that's fine. But like, I'm losing a little bit of the emotional core of who Barry is. I hope that this movie's able to, the same way we cared about Miles above everything else that was happening in Spider-Verse, and he had moments. I'm hoping that Barry Allen is treated the same way. And it's not just the Batman's show.
Yeah.
All the various Batmans.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I agree.
Hector, do you want to talk a little bit about Milestone? I know there was some fun stuff in there.
The main thing for this is, everybody begins talking about Milestone and Milestone Comics by saying, in case you don't know, Milestone is this and this and this. Go look up some history on Milestone. Yeah. I hope that this, I'm not sure if this panel itself is going to be put on YouTube or if it already is. If it is, go watch it, go check it out. It was fantastic. It was Mark Bernardin was hosting this panel that had Phil Lamar. It had Dennis Cowan, Reginald Hudlin, and Jim Lee. And they were talking about the history of Milestone. They were talking about one of my favorite writers, Dwayne McDuffie. They were talking about how this thing has been announced years and years ago, but because of various legal reasons, it's now finally coming. The characters are coming back to DC Comics. Not only that, but with Phil Lamar being there, they talked about the importance of the Static Shock cartoon show and that they are doing a movie. I don't know if it's live action or animated, but they're like, we're talking to people at Warner Brothers. Like they're like, we've got access to the different things happening at Warner Brothers, which is beautiful. I'm like, good.
Static Shock the movie, yes, please.
They basically promised, and I'm glad they said this and announced it because it's like now the rest of us can hold Warner Brothers to that. Like, where's the Static movie? And also, they were saying new stuff in animation, and they're talking to the direct-to-video folks because they're banging out amazing stuff. Yeah. So it's like use that avenue as well to build up these characters. And maybe the thing I'm most excited about, which is kind of dorky, but it's true, because a lot of this Milestone stuff from the 90s, the original Static comics, Hardware, Rocket, Icon and Rocket, Blood Syndicate, all these comics that people kind of know but don't, their characters that are not around right now. They've been out of print, and because of these legal issues and because of who owns the rights to what, DC doesn't put out like paperbacks of Static Volume 1 of like the old run, but they said they're going to start doing that digitally, and I'm really hoping it will lead to physical releases. But at least like on Comixology and stuff, like they're going to be bringing back the old Milestone comics in anticipation for the new stuff coming out February, Black History Month 2021. Yeah. And it's just so damn exciting for them to be out and declare all this stuff. And I'm also hoping that people can, myself included, like I can read some of those comics for the first time. I think I barely read Static issue number 1, maybe. And it's because, friend of the show, Sam Humphreys, had it and let me oh, look at this amazing collector's issue.
You put the white gloves on and everything.
Yeah. Okay, let's read this. Let's do this.
Don't breathe on it, please.
It's all just promising stuff, but it's so exciting for Milestone. Yeah. Because it's a long time coming, man.
Yeah, and I mean, we all grew up on Static Shock, and I absolutely adored that show. And anytime they used the opportunity to cross over with other DC characters, loved it, absolutely loved it. And I know for a while, there was I think it was a Static Shock digital series that Warner Brothers was trying to develop. I think it was maybe like 6 years ago or something. Yeah. And that kind of never came to fruition. So
like
I really do hope.
Like an animated series?
I think it was animated. It could have been live action. I could be wrong.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I'm really excited to see that Static Shock has a potential future in the DC universe. The other thing that it wasn't announced in this panel specifically, but they did touch on. They talked about how John Ridley is going to be coming on and doing a new Batman comic run. And it's going to be a new Batman that's going to be a person of color, which I think is very exciting. And John Ridley is an Academy Award-winning screenwriter who did 12 Years a Slave. So I think whatever he brings to the world of Batman is going to be incredibly diverse and new. And I think Jim Lee touched upon this a little bit. We're getting to the point now where we're going to start seeing these explorations of the main characters of the DC universe occupied by new characters. And I think that's totally fine because just like movies and TV, we can have an Ezra Flash and a Grant Flash. In comic books, we can have a Bruce Wayne Batman and a Dick Grayson Batman and a brand new Batman. I think it's all valid across the board. So
I agree.
I thought that was a great panel. Yeah,
it was fantastic. And I think Jim Lee said this on this panel, maybe another panel, but he said at some point during the show, he goes, diversity is not risk, it's opportunity. Yeah. And that's how they're looking at this. And when I heard that phrase, I'm like, that's I'm talking about. That's exactly right. Exactly right.
That's exactly what you want to hear from the head of what's going on right now. So I think that's a brilliant thing. Just one thing about Static Shock. I did not grow up on Static Shock. I'm just a couple years older than you guys.
That's true.
So I missed it. But this is going to be exciting because the fandom behind it is rabid. Everybody who knows of Static Shock loves Static Shock. So I'm really excited to finally have an avenue to explore this.
I'll let you borrow my DVDs, bro.
Okay, I'll borrow the DVDs.
They just know that shit on Blu-ray.
I know. Just know it's a 20-year-old show and there's some real corny stuff, but there's also some real good stuff.
I know. I know what to expect. Yeah.
Then we had this Aquaman panel, which kind of with the Shazam panel, they didn't really reveal too much. It was a really cool opportunity, though, for us to have James Wan and Patrick Wilson reminisce about talking about the making of the first Aquaman movie, which I thought was really, really cool. I think one of the funnest things was when they talked about having Dolph Lundgren suspended in the awkward like floaty thing, and it's like, dude, it's Dolph Lundgren, and we have him suspended with like a ponytail and stuff. It's fun. I mean, those guys have made 5. I think they said that Aquaman 2 will be their 5th movie together, so they're very well versed in their own sort of like humor and personality. The couple things that they did talk about though was that it seems like the Aquaman sequel will go in a slightly different tonal direction, more serious and kind of like upping the ante. But as far as I remember, not too much else was revealed out of that panel in terms of the sequel.
Question for you guys, because I want to know this, because I saw this discussion happening online. A friend of our show, Bob Chipman, was saying like, he was kind of sarcastically expressing he feels like that's a bad idea because of how outrageous and bombastic the first Aquaman was. It made $1 billion. Like, if there's an audience for that, it's very like Fast and Furious, right? That movie is just so out of control and really, really fun in a lot of ways and not to be taken too seriously. And he worries that like trying to bring that stuff to a more serious or dark or whatever a tone could lose some of what makes it good. Question to you guys, do you feel like that could happen, or do you feel like it will still be the crazy Aquaman with the octopus playing drums? Like the Aquaman 2 will still be that?
I have a feeling, because we're probably going to lean even more into a character like Black Manta, I would imagine that's probably going to be a revenge story for that character. So I think a lot of the depth and the darkness and sort of the drama will come out of that relationship and that sort of like mission for that character. And I think we'll continue to lean into the rivalry between the two brothers of Orm and Arthur. So I think like that drama element, that family drama element will be there. And I think Black Manta, like that mission of that character, if that's the route they go, I don't know if they will. But it seems like based on the end credit like tease, we're going to get more Black Manta. I think like that's going to be like the darkness and the groundedness and the drama of the movie. You still got to see Jason Momoa riding a seahorse. Like that's got to be a thing. And somebody even on Twitter said that, like, dude, I don't want that. I want more of the crab people, and I want more of the big bombasticness of it. And I agree. Like, I think there's an opportunity to have the best of both worlds. And I do think that James Wan is a director who can handle that, because you look at what he did with Furious 7, but then you also look at The Conjuring. There's a really like healthy like joining of both looks, tones, and feels. And based on, you know, what he did with that trench sequence, he can bring that in there naturally without it feeling like it's really out of place. That trench sequence fits so well in that movie, and it's a completely different it's a complete tonal shift, but it works really well. It's very well inputted. So I think like there's a way to make it flow. You know, it's like Captain America: The Winter Soldier. It's very different from the first Captain America movie. It's a lot more grounded, it's a lot more political, and it's a lot more dramatic. But I think it still has those great fun moments, those Captain America moments, those Black Widow moments that we loved from the previous movies. So I think there's a healthy balance to be able to do that. And I think James Wan will do that.
Yeah, I feel like there's only so much that you can force on Jason Momoa. You know, like the dude's gonna be who he's gonna be. Man. Like, the dude's like rock and roll. Like he's a silly guy. I love his commercial. Have you guys seen that commercial where he gets home, he takes off his muscles? Like that kind of silliness is built into this guy. And so I believe that there's only so much that you can squash that to where Jason Momoa is going to be like, guys, this isn't what I do. Like this isn't me. So. And given all the interviews we've seen with him, it seems like he has a good working relationship with almost anybody that he works with. Like he really gets along with the people that he does projects with. And so I feel like they definitely have to keep that in mind. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that Adam's right, that there'll be a good merger of the two styles and it's not squashed by some crazy dark whatever they want to do.
Yeah. I think it is just all that means is that like Black Manta's going to kill Aquaman's dad.
Yeah,
you know,
something like that.
That's all it's going to mean. He's going to kill Tamara Morrison's character, Arthur's dad, and it'll be sad. And then there'll be another big bombastic third act or whatever.
Exactly.
That's all it's going to be.
Family drama, baby.
The cool thing about the Shazam panel They revealed the title, Fury of the Gods, which I really like. I think it's really perfect for Shazam. But here was the other thing I loved about that little panel. They brought in Sinbad.
Faith, is that Sinbad the comedian?
Hang on a second. Somebody's trying to call in here. Maybe that's Adam. Oh, Sinbad.
What it look like, y'all?
The comedian Sinbad. And he was so damn funny. And he joked about how he's the number 3 Mandela effect, that people think he starred in a movie called Shazam. And then Zachary Levi was like, "Oh, do you mean the movie Kazam?" And he goes, "No, Shazam, all the Kazams. Everybody thought I was in a movie." And it was so funny. But then people started really looking at that seriously and going, wait, could Sinbad be in Shazam too? There's two theories right now. Maybe Shazam could end up being the voice of Mr. Takitani, the magical tiger that helps Shazam in his comic book adventures, which I'm
Sinbad?
like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. Sinbad is going to be the voice of Mr. Takitani, which could be perfect. Kevin Michael Richardson played Mr. Takitani, played Mr. Tani, I think, in Superman Shazam, The Return of Black Adam, the short, like the animated short that was like 25 minutes or something. And he did a great job. So there's already precedent of like a black actor playing that role, you know?
Yeah.
And then the other thing people were saying is that he could play the character Uncle Dudley. And Uncle Dudley is this really funny member of the old school Shazam family who he was just a guy. And he was like the guardian of a couple of the kids, I guess, like Billy and Freddie Freeman and some of the other kids. But the difference is that they would say Shazam and turn into superheroes. He would just put on a Shazam costume and jump in there with them. And then people pointed out that the character Darla in the movie and in the new mythology, her last name is Dudley, and Darla is black. And if they were to bring in Sinbad to be like her uncle or something, like long lost family member or whatever, and be involved in the family somehow, like that would be amazing, because he could bring a really good, because it's just like, here's just what I was reminded by.
It's Sinbad. Come on.
Sinbad's so fucking funny still to this day.
He is funny.
He's so sharp. He called Zachary Levi John Krasinski. Like he's just funny, dude. He's one of the funniest people ever.
It was good.
And I'm surprised he hasn't been in a movie like this. And I'm like, Shazam would be the perfect one for him. So I'm really hoping that, like, just like when Linda Carter showed up in the Wonder Woman 1984 panel, I'm really hoping they were teasing us, because she was saying, like, when we meet, can I give you a hug? And they were like, yeah, we want to hug each other. We haven't met yet. They were all pretending.
Cameo.
I'm like, tell me she's in the movie, though. Like, please, So same thing with this Sinbad joke. I'm like, I hope he's in the movie. I hope they didn't just pay him to appear on this panel for DC Fandome. Like, I hope he has a role in Shazam, Fury of the Gods. Like, put him in the movie. He's great.
Why not? At this point, why not?
Absolutely. I agree. I think the uncle idea is actually brilliant. I think that's really what needs to happen, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Going back to video games, let's talk a little bit about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League really quick. A lot of speculation about this game, because I know for a while that people thought that this was going to be a Superman game. And I think it was supposed to be, and then like that got axed. I've accepted my fate that I'll never get a Superman game at this point. But then the poster came out, and a lot of people were speculating, like, oh, is that Brainiac? Like, his eyes looking very like we'll see. But then the trailer comes out, and this game surprisingly very much embraces Suicide Squad characters that we just saw in the movie, or the first movie, and we're going to get in the second movie. It's got Harley Quinn, Boomerang, Deadshot, and Killer Shark.
And Deadshot is like a black guy in the game, which is echoing the Will Smith, the depiction as well. So
exactly. And the basic premise is, it seems like Brainiac has come to Earth. He's invaded in some way, and it seems like he's taken over the mind of the Justice League. So Task Force X has been recruited to essentially kill the Justice League. We saw a little bit of it wasn't gameplay, but we saw like they actually did like a animatic trailer. And it looked really, really cool. It doesn't come out for 2 years. It doesn't come out until 2022.
Yeah.
So quite a while before we see it. But I thought it looked cool. I thought the voices seemed pretty cool. It does seem like they're, leaning a little bit more to like, oh, well, let's make them look and feel like the cinematic versions, even though Boomerang looks nothing like Jai Courtney. But I am curious to see like what this gameplay ends up being. And they did say you would be able to switch characters on the fly, which I think is really, really cool.
That's
that
pretty
I could
cool.
literally pause the game and swap out from Harley to Boomerang, or Boomerang to Shark, which I think could be really, really cool.
Yeah.
But I'm excited. I'm interested to see more of like the story of like, okay, what exactly is the mission here? Is it to literally kill the Justice League, or is it to somehow, is it going to be a third act shift where we now are on a mission to like destroy Brainiac? We'll see.
I'm watching the trailer right now. Actually, it looks really freaking cool. Yeah, this looks like it has a lot of promise, actually, and they still have 2 years of development. It looks pretty done at this point, but
yeah, it's a pretty well put together trailer for how far out they are from the release.
It looks well done.
Don't discount the fact that maybe this game is a sneak pilot or experiment for a Superman video game, like a proper Superman game. Maybe this is the way to get video game audiences, which are very different than comic book audiences and movie audiences. And I feel like normally video game audiences are a little bit more hardcore, or like they like their shit dark, and they like to, they like that kind of stuff. So it's like, okay, here is the character of Superman and the story of Superman through the eyes of the Suicide Squad. It's going to be fun. It's going to be vulgar. It's going to be like funny. But then by the end, if maybe the game is maybe setting out to be like, let's get you to kind of root for Superman. And then by the end, that character or the Justice League or the heroes or whoever defeat Brainiac, and there's this big triumphant moment, and it will leave the gamer going, oh man, I would like to play a Superman game now. Like maybe I didn't care about the character before, right? Maybe that's all I'm saying, is that it could be that. Don't discount the fact that we could someday get a true, proper Superman, like optimistic and hopeful game, which I feel like is the opposite of a lot of modern, like, sales points for games is everything I just said. So maybe this could be the way in, and we could get something like that. Could be cool.
Guys, you guys didn't tell me they have Outcast as the theme music for this.
Oh yeah.
Are you kidding me? Like anything hip hop infused with like good hip hop, I'm in. I'm 1000% in.
Was it Bombs Over Baghdad?
It's Bombs Over Baghdad. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. This is insane.
Yeah.
I'm in. Whatever it is, I'm going to get it.
The last thing we're going to talk about is Black Adam. So this is a character, when we literally started making YouTube content, the first video that we ever made was talking about the announcement of the Black Adam movie and the fact that The Rock was going to play him. This was 2014. So this has been a long time.
Yeah.
And he's been working on this forever.
Rock's a busy man.
Very busy man. Very busy man. But I'm very interested to see sort of like what comes of this movie, because it feels like The Rock has been doing his best to build out not his own cinematic universe, but to help expand the DC universe even farther. Did announce that we're going to see multiple characters from the JSA in this.
Yeah.
We're going to see Atom Smasher, Cyclone, Dr. Fate, and Hawkman.
Nice.
There was a lot of people asking, like, well, why not Hawk Girl? And he said, like, there's a reason why. I will eventually address that with the fans. It seemed like it was somewhat of like a legal potential reason. I don't know. But we'll see. But the only other cast member who we have is Noah Centineo, who will be playing Atom Smasher. And they showed a really cool cinematic or animatic reel. And it's The Rock narrating the backstory of Kandak and of the character Black Adam, and how he was enslaved along with his people, how they were enslaved, and how instead of getting a hero, they got me. So we're going to definitely see a transitional point for this character where he goes from maybe not so good of a guy to end up eventually becoming an anti-hero, but still not being... It definitely seems like they're leaning more towards like, yeah, he's still not going to be a hero, but we're going to try to embrace some of that rockness in this movie. And he made the bold statement of saying that the power of the DC universe is going to be shifting towards Black Adam. And I'm like,
oh, interesting.
I'm into that.
I'm into it,
100%.
but also like Superman is still Superman. Sorry.
But here's the thing, Adam, lest you forget, one of Superman's vulnerabilities, not weaknesses, vulnerabilities is magic. Yeah. Which just means that like he could go up against Shazam and it would be a fair fight. He could go up against Thor and it would be a fair fight, because otherwise it would be unfair.
And I think like this will potentially build, it seems like this will obviously, I don't want to say obviously, it seems like this will be a period piece, right? If you're going to have the JSA.
Not necessarily, because
not necessarily, but
the JSA is like, there's like different lineups of the JSA, but of course there's the old school World War II Justice Society of America, but there's also the like children and descendants of those characters, like Stargirl, and you can kind of see how some of that's working in the Stargirl TV show that they're putting out right now. So this could also be like Atom Smashers, the son or grandson of the original Adam, or whatever, however they want to do it. Dr. Fate is like immortal. And Hawkman is also reincarnated. So it could be the same Hawkman from World War II, but maybe now he's a different like human, whatever the case is.
Which if that's the case, like if that's the case, then that to me is exciting, because that means that we could potentially have Hawkman crossover into Wonder Woman or another Justice League movie, which like could be amazing. Same thing with Dr. Fate. And I think Atom Smasher, Noah Centineo did talk about how that character's struggle will kind of be the fact that his like lineage is not necessarily like the best, you know, being the heir to sort of like a villainous throne. So you could be right. It probably will be modern day. I think would probably make sense that we're going to see, you know, 5,000 years or however many years in the past with Black Adam, and then we're going to zip to modern day. Would make sense. So everything that came out of that panel I thought was really, really cool, and all the concept art that they showed and the design work for Black Adam looked really, really cool. I do hope he did kind of tease this like potential future showdown with Superman, and we know that Henry Cavill is represented by The Rock's company, by The Rock's representation. So I do hope that there's a future for Henry Cavill, and I do hope that that future includes Henry Cavill, The Rock, and Zachary Levi teaming up and doing a movie together.
All fighting.
The main thing I want from a Black Adam movie and The Rock depicting the character is for us to really root for him. But then at the same time, I want those movies to build up to the fact that, and this may be tricky, DJ Wooldridge and I were talking about this as well. Like, we know how The Rock and his contracts worked on Fast and Furious, right? Him and Vin Diesel have these like, can't ever lose a fight, can't ever be seen as, you know, this way or that way or whatever their contracts stipulate. I hope The Rock is okay with like, you're going to play a character who's a badass for sure, but he's going to be defeated by Shazam, who's a kid. Yeah. And I think that the best thing about the character Black Adam is that he is somebody who despite all of his power and everything, a kid, the perspective of a kid, the heart of a kid is the thing that can defeat him. And I think that makes him a stronger character, and it's something that he could learn from is when he beats the shit out of the Shazam, but then he realizes like, you're children, you are just children. What am I doing with my power? Yeah. Like that level of like, oh, he can learn from that. I still want him to have a showdown with like the Justice League. I want him to kick Momoa's ass, Gal Gadot's ass, like everybody's butt. But then have it be that Henry Cavill Superman has to go to Billy Batson Shazam and the Shazam and be like, we need your help. Like we can't defeat this. He's unstoppable. And it would take magic to defeat magic. And then Billy comes in and maybe that's how Billy gets on the Justice League. Like that's what I really want to happen. But the important thing is don't let it all be about how great of a guy The Rock is, because he's not at first. Billy helps him. He could help him. And, you know, he could still hate Shazam, but still have this like, I will not put my hands on a child.
Conflict, yes, inner conflict. Exactly. That'll be important. Yeah. I think one thing, just to wrap up here, guys, I think one thing that to take away from all of this is that I feel like DC has their ducks in a row finally. Like they've chosen a direction in which they want to go, and everybody came out of all of this super pumped. I know I'm pumped. Whereas a couple of years ago, I would have been like, I'd be okay with this taking a break for a while. Now I'm ready to go, guys. I'm ready.
I agree. Guys, let us know in the comments what was the most exciting part for you for DC Fandome. Also, I just want to like say, as an event itself, I thought it was really well put together. I would love to see more of this. I hope that this becomes an annual tradition. You know, whatever happens with Comic-Con happens with Comic-Con, but I hope we get to see more of this type of stuff from more companies like this. I thought it was a really well put together presentation, even though it was something like they only spent 3 months doing it, and I think they did a really good job. It made me super hyped for DC. It made me super hyped for all the future movies. I can't wait to check out next month, the part 2 event of DC Fandome, when we're going to dive a little bit more into TV and a few other things. So I'm looking forward to that. But let us know what you thought in the comments below, and see you in the next video.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.